How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen,
Greetings to you.
wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we certainly hope the station for you is OTR, which is the Old Tube Radio Network, right here, 27085 Central Valley of California, in our 34th year, something like that. We've lost count, where we hang out here for a couple hours on Saturday nights and open the frequency up to everyone, and especially those, our tube radio operators who collect the vintage sets and stop by and key up on frequency and let us know what they are running. We'll be doing that tonight. We will hopefully be adding some pictures of the radios as they check in. And, of course, your comments live streaming at oldtuberadio.net, 27085, and here on the Google YouTube's events. With that said, the Old Tube Radio Network will be listening for your radio check-ins.
37. 35.
All right, we've got SWL 37 and SWL 45. We will take them in that order. Let's see. Give me a second here, Chris. I want to do some updating on my big page so people know what we're doing. So let me hit that. And all right, tube radio time is a good thing, as is those glow-in-the-dark radios. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, thank you, Dennis. This is SWL37, Chris here. We are going to check in on my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A, the 24-channel version of the radio there, for sure, all tubes, it all works. And listen here, we're running here with the stock handheld microphone.
All right, stock audio on a general radio telephone. Who would have thunk? Actually, if you were a fan or familiar with the general radio telephones, you often know that it is not super necessary to have a lot of massive audio input going into the front end of the radio, because the radio will take care of that quite nicely. There's a picture, thanks to the collection of SWL 135, who. If we were making a calendar, if we were making an Old Tube Radio calendar, we would have lots of photos from Mr. Green Arrow. This is one of them, with the accommodating radio audio from Chris. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Yeah, this is mine, and it's still working. And yeah, like you said, it's just what goes in comes out.
All right, that's a good thing. The general radio telephone. Super MC11A, not quite their last radio in the production line, but close to it. They came up with an MC12, which had problems with type acceptance. This is a 9-tube, 2 transistors thrown in there somewhere for good measure, and with only 9 tubes, they do quite nicely. And as many have said, the ECLL 800, which is a hard tube to find these days, but the output modulator making that thing sound great. Give us another transmission. Thanks for getting us started off tonight, Chris, with the general radio telephone, a favorite of many. Back to the Super MC11A.
Well, I had to start off as Channel 11, MC11, which, like you say, I was 11, but too damn old to be 11, so. Anyway, Dennis, thank you. I got some other one warming up now, but I'm in between matches right now, so I'll be back.
Okay, thanks for jumping in. As you know, we will be here until 10 o'clock Pacific time, checking in radio, so we'll have plenty of room for you. Thanks for stopping by on the Old Tube Radio Network on the general radio telephone Super MC11A radio number 1 at 845. And we've got radio number 2 stepping out of the green room. Hello, Paul.
How's that? I thought I'd check in my Browning Gold Eagle Mark III.
That is a good choice. I think we'll start with the big names tonight. General Radio Telephone, Browning Laboratories, a favorite of many. And I know there's a lot of people watching and tuning in that enjoy all the radios, regardless of what they might be. So Let's see if I can grab a really great picture of a Mark III. I know I can do better than that one, and we'll go back to you for a transmission. Over.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Had to look at it. Anyway, this is a two-piece set. This thing's 31 inches long. It's a big radio. It's got 20 tubes in it. That's 20. 13 knobs and 2 large meters is VFO. And I'm running a Browning microphone on the thing. Came stock with it. It's a 776 power microphone. But it gets its power from the radio, not from the batteries. Interesting how they got it set up. It's a good microphone. I understand the modulation is good on it. Anyway, back to you. Good show.
Yeah, modulation is excellent on it. With the signal I've got, about an S9. You're not full quieting, but that is to be expected when you're 45 miles or so away. So doing a good job here for radio number 2, logging in at 848. We've got a picture of the Mark III, of a Mark III up at oldtuberadio.net, also on the video. Now, these are stacked vertically, so that if you're radio real estate challenged, rather than taking that 3 feet of desk space, you can do it this way. But probably for convection cooling, a little bit better to stack them side by side. The full-size transmitter, the full-size receiver in the Mark III series, I think that was first to do that after the Mark II, and doing a good job with the audio, microphone, and everything else. Back to you on the Eagle.
My personal opinion on this, but I think this is one of Browning's nicest radios. Really classy all the way through. Nice looking, full tube. Not a hybrid, just a solid tube radio, and really attractive. Back to you, Dennis, and thanks for checking it out.
Yeah, I think we polled 30 different people who are Browning fans. We might get about 20 different answers on exactly what you mentioned there, the favorite radios. And as you said, the Mark III, and I've noticed Mark IV is very popular. Don't hear a lot of them, but a lot of people like the Mark IVs as well. And then, of course, any of the classic 23S9, R2700, any of those combinations, Mark II as well. Radio number 2, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for bringing it by.
Break OTR.
And like two birds calling out, the Eagles, I think we found another one. The break OTR, go ahead.
Yes, indeed. Go ahead and double that one up with another Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, and I definitely have to vote for the Mark III myself.
All right, 2 for the Mark III. Might be a bit of a biased opinion because we've got 2 Mark III owners voting for the Mark III, but both of them have quite an extensive radio collection. So at least for the Brownings, that would be the favorite. Paul was running the Browning 776 microphone. What microphone are you running on yours? Over.
Well, now I do have the banana mic sitting over here on the desk, but I have a Golden Eagle limited edition D104.
Okay, and we are showing almost, it almost fits in the picture there. Let me adjust things. We are showing in the picture a D104 microphonium. Let me favor that. And you also, unlike our prior check-in, you seem to have a bit more squeal on the wheel.
Yeah, well, that's because this one, of course, has got a little modification in there, so it can be, instead of a chirping bird, a screaming eagle.
And screaming it is indeed. There is the Browning badge, the Browning logo on one of the parts of the Mark III, which I think Didn't they emblazon that on the D104 as well somewhere?
Small ping. Yeah, the Eagle looks just like that on the back of the D104. Actually, it looks just like the Silver Eagle, that Eagle on the back of the D104, same way. This one does not have a Browning or anything like that on it, unfortunately.
Okay, but it sounds good. And as always, the Brownings have a sound. I mean, you can change the microphones on the Browning, and you're still going to have a Browning sound. I've tried running the audio board through the Browning, and their internal workings with whatever filtering they're doing is pretty much saying, I don't care what you're going to do with the microphone. We're going to make it sound pretty much like a Browning. You have to work really hard to get it to sound otherwise. Radio 3. Doing a good job. The Mark IIIs, of course, probably first on the market in 1972. If you found a good deal, you might be paying $650 at that time. I think the typical price was in the $700 or $750 range. And how long do they make those? All the way up to what, 76 or so, until they went 40 channels officially. And it was time for the Mark IV. Give us another transmission. Thanks for bringing by radio number 3.
And, hey, thank you. No problem. And with that, I definitely have a couple more warmed up and ready to go, so I'll get back to you pretty quick.
All right, so we will be listening. A reminder, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark. We are at 27085 in the RF zone of Central California, maybe farther out, depending on what the eSkip does tonight. Available on a live audio stream at oldtuberadio.net for your Universal Media Netweb device when you see the glowing 6L6. And live right now and for a while. It'll be in the archives on the streaming over at Google YouTube. We will take a look at any comments there. But first, let me see if the studio is fired up, which it looks like it is. And if they can see me over the rack of audio gear here, I will ask the jingle singers to give us a little bit of tell us about what we do here.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen,
Greetings to you.
wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we were looking for radio number 4.
Break OTR.
The Break OTR. I'm pulling out the SWL list. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Dennis, I'm sorry I have to check in late. I don't know if I'm here early. My clock's over here went down, but I'd like to check in my number there, 53 there, Dennis.
That is not a problem. We are here until 10 o'clock to do just that. Take check-ins of any type. Say hello to any and all listeners. And put the X in the square for SWL 53, Bob. Thanks for remembering the Saturday night place to be.
Thank you, sir.
And hello, 45.
Hello, Dennis. Back with my general radio telephones again. This is going to be checking in my VS6, that's Vibration Service -6.
All right, General Radio Telephone, company out of Burbank here in California. I believe most everything that they made was out of their office there. Let me see if I got a shot of a VS6, and I do. Get that popped up here on the big video. The VS. We started out with was it radio number 1 was the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. So their master control, the MC series, was, I'd say, considered more of their base radios. The radio that Paul is checking in, the VS Vibration Service, was considered more of their mobile style radios to pair with the base, but you could run them, of course, on a base situation. So we got a shot of the VS6. Let's get some audio from radio number 4.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it. That's not mine, but it is one. You see, it's got the rocker switches on it. That's not only difference between the 4 and the 6. They use just the same switches, but they changed the design a little bit on it. Yeah, that's it. Nice little radio, tough as ever, I'll tell you. I think you could drop these things. I know you could, and they'd still survive it. They're small, compact, and they do everything they're supposed to do. 7 tubers. Back to you.
Yeah, they're baked in the oven like a giant stale loaf of bread, right? It's hard to self-destruct. And I'm looking some information here, and I did not know. They're showing a price on the VS series of $100 in 1965. I think the matching price of, say, like an MC7, or let's see, the MC7 would be around that time, would be about $159. So price point wise, General Radio Telephone was quite in the ballpark for affordability. This, of course, let's see, it's not a 23-channel radio, and it's not very fancy. It doesn't have meters and things on it, but it sounds good, and it does the job. Only 7 tubes, believe it or not, making it sound very nice. Will run 12-volt DC. It doesn't show that it runs 6 volts. I think in 1965, most of the 6-volt systems weren't... There weren't a lot of them. I mean, there's 6-volt cars around, but 65 they were going into the 12-volt. Give us another transmission. And did you say you were using the standard stock supplied mic with that?
You bet. The standard old carbon microphone, hardwired to the radio. All right, never been changed. Matter of fact, I got some tape. We kind of got a crack there, little guy. Got it taped up. It's original, everything original on the thing. Neat little radio. I could probably put about 80 of these radios inside my Browning case without any problem. Maybe more. I don't know, that's how small they are, but boy, they got everything to it, like I said. It's a 5-channel. I would think you already went through that. But anyway, I'll do it again. And thanks again, Dennis, for checking it in.
All right, sounds good. And as Chris proved earlier, the general supplied stock audio was great. The supplied microphones were I don't know, paired up quite nicely. Whether they were carbon or dynamic elements, always worked well. And as you can tell from Paul there on a standard microphone 45 miles away, sounding quite nice on his mobile VS6 radio number 4. We'll log that in at 8:57 here. Also, if anyone is interested, there appears to be an operator's manual available at oldtuberadio.com for that radio. So if you have one or thinking about getting one, you might be able to take a look at the operator's manual and see if you like it even more. Let me. What am I going to do? Oh, I wanted to check out. Thanks, Paul, for bringing by Radio 4, by the way.
Thank you, Dennis, for checking it in.
Also, I wanted to go over to our, on the video side, and say hello to some people watching. And Robert Wallace, of course, Captain Keyboard, out of Nevada, listening in, saying hello to the net and everyone else, and reminding us as he does, and as we start our summer vacations and things, not to drink and drive. So always some good words from Robert. Also, Brian, I believe, the mighty KUH is out in the Radio Shack, probably firing up the Drakes tonight. I don't know if he's doing some AM or sideband or whatever, but thanks for listening, Brian, over at the YouTube video channel. And we are looking for radio number 5 here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Number 7.
And Radio 5 from SWL7. Hello, Ed.
Hello, Dennis, and everyone out there on the net. This time, the Tram, TR27 Echo.
All right, keeping us covered, or trying to keep covered in the big radios tonight, and we haven't gone up the list alphabetically far enough, and I think that will help getting us with the Tram. You have the TR27E, and I believe that we are lucky enough to actually have a photo of that actual radio on which you are transmitting. So we'll add that to the video mix here, and you will supply the audio. Over.
Yes, that indeed is the very radio, and in fact, in that picture I see is in the very same spot it sits right now. It has the Electro Voice 638 microphone hooked up to it, and yeah, that's also only one piece, not like the Browning, but it's a large radio, 5x7 speaker. The meter is 3 inches tall by 3.5 inches wide, so even without glasses and being old, you can see it.
That's a good thing. No, that radio has very grandiose proportions, like you say, between the speaker and the meter. That meter is something else, and I think that showed up on a couple of those models in that mid-'60s era. Interesting green. Let's see, what else can we say about the tram? 1963. Okay, I was thinking 1965, but that particular series of models, there was a lot of TR-27s. This is the E. Whether that's the last one or not, I don't know. We have C's and lesser or lower alphabets on the 27, so maybe the E is their final one. Give us another transmission. I know you have it paired with a classic microphonium as well, which makes it even more the better.
Oh, there you go. Tried a bunch of different mics on it. In fact, OTR one night, just tried a bunch of them. This one seemed to give the clearest, cleanest sound, so that's the one we left on there. And the good old Electro Voice is a nice chunk of metal.
Yeah, you got to be careful not to. I think you would be careful if you had that on a Browning, because you know how someone to orchestrate the ping, you need to sort of swing. Sometimes you can swing the microphone around. I believe if you hit yourself in the mouth with that, you would be probably seeing a dentist.
Yeah, and definitely don't drop it, because it would do some damage to some toes.
Indeed. Let me see. The microphone is so big, it doesn't even fit in my... maybe I can modify that a little bit. It doesn't even fit in my picture here, but there you go. Not the best photo, but there we go. That is at least the front part of the head of the Electro Voice microphone with the interested... almost like an alien eyeball there staring at you.
You know, that's exactly what kind of reminded me. If it only had 3, it'd be great for the old War of the Worlds type thing. But, yep, the bifurcated head there, that's the microphone.
Yeah, you better hope there's no ray beam sneaking out of that thing. Radio number 5 tonight, thanks to Mr. Ed, who did a great job, by the way, last week filling in for me as I was on the FM side of things. With his tram TR-27E. I won't put it up on the video, but I will put it over at oldtuberadio.net. I think we have a brochure, a tram brochure for that radio, and I'll go ahead and pop that up because it'll be a lot easier to read if you're out there. So there we go. And give us another transmission on the tram, and thanks for bringing it by.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and that was cool about their ads, too, because they would have little service tips in there, because back then, seemed most people actually worked on their own radio. Thanks with that, and I'll get another radio on here in the air in just a moment.
Yeah, they weren't afraid to tell people a little bit about peaking and tweaking, although in theory the Citizen band was less hobby, less technical, but I think as it soon, in 1958 and beyond, it soon became clear to everyone that it was a lot more than that, and took off and had quite a few more participants in a short time than amateur radio ever did, although they're both melding quite nicely these days. We have a lot of our tube radio operators who are amateur radio operators as well, and that's a good thing. Let's see, we passed the top of the hour here on the Old Tube Radio Network, so let's let the jingle singers give us the ID the best way they can.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. The friendliest station for you by far is known to all and
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And we are looking for radio number 6.
46.
And hello, 46, over.
How about a Robin Tango 240 Delta?
We like that. That will be a good addition as we are up in that part of the alphabet here. And I say a good addition. Any old tube radio is a good addition, but the ad of the 240D gives us something we haven't had so far tonight. I think that is a 40-channel tube radio. Give us a transmission, over.
10-4, this is an old 40-channel Yellowbird.
All right, so trying to get a shot of it here. My radios are too big for the screen tonight, so we'll see what we can do. Great audio, by the way. I know that has a range expand, but I'm just wondering what you're doing for microphonium on that.
My Universal D104.
Okay, universal in that you are able to have it partake on many radios?
Yes, like 15 or 20 of them.
Wow. Do you have a special, I'll call it an adapter or a converter box, or are you just lucky enough to have similar chassis where whatever style of microphone pin and connection you have, it all works out?
Yeah, this 4-pin I've got fits a ton of radios.
Yes, and that is not uncommon. And in fact, this radio right here, the 240D, is one of the later Panasonic chassis that was used by many. The earlier ones were the 23-channel Panasonic chassis, and then when they upgraded, whether it was I don't know if it was Crystal or the chip in there to go 40 channels. Panasonic was, if you had one of the Panasonic clones, there weren't as many 40-channel clones as there were 23-channel clones from Panasonic, but that will fit, the microphone will fit some other ones as well. Imported from Japan, but I do believe the reason we're hearing such great audio is these were plate modulated radios as well. It sounds great. You are putting in a full quieting signal here at Net Control, and give us another transmission.
I'm just looking around. I see a Gemtronics, my Colt Midnight Specials, a 4-5 of them right here. I can see this got the same mic plug.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of the names, but the Gemtronics, the Colt Midnight Special, they are the same, similar chassis, the Panasonic clone. T240D, sounding good for radio number 6 on the old Tube Radio Network from his Radio Shack, Alabama boy, doing a good job. Give us a transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
Thank you, Dennis. Take care.
Number 7.
And the old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. 27085 is where we're at. If you'd like to, if you're watching or listening at oldtuberadio.net or on the YouTube video, we're in Central California. You want to see what conditions are like, go to 27085, and if you're not quite in our ground wave, maybe you'll hear some skip. Give us a call. We'll be here until 10 o'clock Pacific time tonight, doing just what we've been doing, and that's listening for and checking in the tube radios from our collectors. We have one on the line now. It's radio number 7. Go ahead, SWL7.
Well, thank you very much. This time, the A.F. Johnson Messenger 223.
All right, there are definitely some E.F. Johnson fans, not only for 11 meters, which we're all familiar with, but E.F. Johnson, of course, long before that, making the big iron with their transmitters, the Viking, the Ranger, the Viking Desk Kilowatt, and getting into the 11-meter Class D pretty much at the beginning with their Viking, or the Whiteface. But this is, let's see, a couple models past that, but still sounding good. Let me stop talking, and we will hear from the E.F. Johnson.
There you go. Yeah, it's actually a nice, simple little radio. Just got your speaker, place to turn it on, squelch, volume, the dial for changing your channels, of course an S-meter, which also works receive and transmit, lets you know what you're putting out. You also have to have a microphone plugged into this, or you have no receive. This particular one, I have a D104 Silver Eagle attached to, did not have the original mic.
which is kind of unusual because, in theory, most of those were sold with a very nice style desk mic, which is unfortunately kind of out of the shot on this radio. I mean, what I'll do is I'm going to patch over to another radio that shows the desk mic, even though I think that one has an addition that yours does not with the modulation light. But there you go. So there's the desk mic that should be with it. But the one you have selected sounds pretty good. Over.
Yep, and yes, mine does not have the little light on it either. I guess there are a couple of different versions there, but otherwise, looks exactly the same. And yeah, I would like to have one of those little Johnson microphones, but every time I see one, they want too much for it.
Yeah, sometimes eBay can get a little bit disappointing. And I think there was enough time for them to do a few versions of that radio. It was a very popular seller from 1969 to 1972, just as the wave, the craze was starting. This was a very great radio for around $200 to get all 23 channels, an S-meter, a microphone, and get on the air in style if you didn't have the $400 or $500 for a Tram or a Browning or one of the other radios. And of course, E.F. Johnson being a long-time manufacturer and around, and so you couldn't go wrong. More information on Sam's Photofax if you can find him. 23, page 53, but the best information is right here when you key down and hear how great it sounds. Back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, and it's actually got a really nice receive comparison to the Tram or Browning, either one, so they definitely did a good job for a simple little radio.
Yeah, between the Messenger and the Viking, the Messenger 2, and the 223, which is basically a Messenger 2 with the 23 channels and a little bit bigger case to fit the S-meter. It was tried and true for sure. Radio 7, SWL7 on the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. We will let you, as we often do, let the old tube radio operator have the last word. Thanks.
Thank you much there, Dennis. Yeah, I hear definitely a little background in there, but with that, I'll stand by and take a listen for some of those old tube radios. Thanks.
Hey, Ed.
Go ahead.
Hey, is that your Mark III?
Which Mark III?
Your Browning Mark III you're on right now.
Oh, no, this is E.F. Johnson I'm on right now.
Oh, gotcha, okay. Yeah, I know what you mean about trying to find a microphone. It's just like me trying to find a Browning Mark III, man. I'll tell you. I talked to Dennis yesterday about it and trying to put out the feelers to see if anybody's got a decent unit out there for sale.
There you go. Best way to do it. Yeah, I actually have the banana mic for the Browning also, and got that actually at Red Monkey. Had one of their swap meet things and went down there. Guy had it, and I think I picked it up for like $30.
Yeah, I found a couple of them. They were on eBay quite a while back. Matter of fact, there were a pair of them, and they wanted $75 for the pair.
Oh, there you go. Good price.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Okay. I just was in and out, and I didn't know if that was the Mark III or not. It's got the loud audio like it, but yeah, man, I got the word out looking for a Browning Mark III. Hopefully, somewhere, somehow, somebody will come up with one for sale.
Well, there you go. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Believe me, so far I'm going to need it. All right, man, I'll get out of here and let it roll.
And this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Got a little bit of activity on the crossband frequency. It is the VHF contest. Got a couple of stations out there. So if you do have an amateur call, I think everyone's going to be in Delta Mike 06. There's a couple of stations out there now that you could give some contacts to for the contest. Anyway, here at 27085, we are looking for radio number 8. And let's see, I want to say hello to Ray, who is watching on the YouTube from Grants Pass, Oregon. And it's been quite some time since I've been through Grants Pass. I have not. I think the last time I went there was heading to Ashland for the Shakespeare Festival. So anyway, a great place. And if we get the E-skip, if we get the short E-skip tonight, that is certainly within our zone here in Fresno. Occasionally you hear some background chatter. We've got the 2-meter radio up and running. They're doing the VHF contest, and quite a bit of activity tonight. We're looking for radio number 8, and I think we just found it. Hello, Paul, SWL 45.
Okay, well, this isn't a real exciting radio. This is BS4, general radio telephone. I found this thing sitting way in the corner over there. It's all busted top, and it's a pretty sad state. But it's working. I'll be really interested to see how it sounds on the archives. I'll tell you, it'll be fun. Other than that, it's just a twin, another one. It sets slide switches and like the little drop and rocker switches. That's it. I think the insides are the same too. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
All right, just grabbing a shot of the VS4 vibration service 4. It does not sound bad. I didn't get a chance to look at the S meter. I have a feeling it's not. The signal is not maybe quite as good as the VS6, but the audio is nice. So we'll see how much over the noise level you are on that general radio telephone. You can tell a real collector like Paul, who has been checking in with us for pretty much our 34 years on the air. He can just look over in various portions of his QTH and say, "Oh, there's a radio. I wonder what it does. I wonder if we can check that in tonight." Back to you.
Yeah, okay. No, there's a date on that thing. Maybe it's not on that one, it's another one. This thing was manufactured on the thing. Anyway, it was 1964 when they came out with this one, I believe it was. Correct me on that if it's not correct. But anyway, that's a pretty nice looking one you got on the screen there. A lot better looking than this old thing. We'll be interested to hear it played back. Thanks, Dennis, for checking it in.
Okay, yeah, the early 60s for the VS4. You are, my noise level is about an S8, believe it or not, because I don't have any big attenuation going on. When you key down and don't modulate, my meter stays the same at S8, and then when you add audio, when you modulate, I go up about 3 dB from that. So you actually come up out of the noise. So you will hear that. You'll hear the noise, but you'll hear that your audio is doing quite nice through the noise. And Paul is talking about the archives. We do archive 2 sections, the shortwave listener check-in and the tube radio check-ins, and that can be found. We keep the videos up for a while, so you can actually watch the video. But if you want the MP3 audio archives, you can go to oldtuberadio.net. Up at the top of the page, there's the archive button. You can click on that. It will load the OTR, the exclusive Old Tube Radio OTR magnetophone, which will load all these little 3-inch reel-to-reel tapes, and then look for the date that you checked in and whether it was a SWL or a radio check-in, and then use your media player device to sort of move around and hopefully find the time in which you checked in. We do archive the audio directly out of the receiver. It is a direct feed out into the sound card. So hopefully what you hear is a very true representation of what you should hear if you were on the other end. Radio number 8, the general radio telephone vibration service number 4. If I haven't talked too long, Paul, you should still be there. Give us another transmission. And if you're still there, thanks for bringing it by.
Yeah, no problem. I listened for this. We're going to watch you on the iPad. But anyway, this thing, I'm talking it's interesting now, these microphones, they're so different. This is still a carbon microphone, but according to my meter, if I got up and gobble the mic, like you have to really get close to it, like right now, it garbled it. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I back off about an inch, and it seems it cleared it up. Am I correct on that?
It doesn't flat top, and I'm not getting any distortion. It may not be as clear, but with our signal to noise ratio, you actually increase the gain a little bit. And so if there is distortion or a little fuzziness, it is a bit lost because of the signal to noise ratio. So I would say if you were 20 dB over S9, I would notice more of a difference, or I would hear more of the quality difference, but I don't hear it as much because of our signal to noise ratio. You'll hear it on the archive, so it gets a little bit louder, and it actually works. The microphone is doing a good job, regardless on this one of where you are placing yourself. Although on a carbon microphone, as you know, if you get more than about 6 inches away, it will drop off considerably.
Okay, thanks, Dennis.
All right, the old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark, thanks to Paul, and I'll mark him down. We actually keep an analog list that looks a lot like that of the radios that checked in. We got a big stack, probably millions of papers, well, maybe not that many, of all the radios that have checked in here over the past 34 years. The Jingle Singers are tapping on the glass over there, Mr. Announcer, saying that they want to tell you a little bit about what it is that we do here. So let's open up the ribbon microphones and let them do just that here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
And we are just trying to see if we might get some skip conditions here tonight, E-skip. Let me look on the display here and say hello to our digital listeners. Hello, Fresno, of course. Lots of stations in Fresno. 128 is still in from Fairfax, although it's showing some difference. Hendersonville, Pennsylvania is in there, Tennessee's in there, and I've got a call on the crossband. I'll be right back. Did I hear him item of interest, KB6 GFD?
Well, hello, got all backed up, and was wondering if I could
All right, we're going to have to do some live. Last week I was away because we were doing some live radio out at Engelman Cellars on the FM side. And I know occasionally we've done some stuff at Gazebo, so we might end up sometime with a live broadcast, who knows, on the FM band. You are sounding good, and I will get you checked in, and of course all the other great stations from Madera Heights as well, KB6 GFD. Okay, and from the crossband, SWL check-ins, Jerry, who is one of our, we have a few musicians that check in with us. I think Larry, Radio Ham Guy, and Neil, SWL 147, and SWL 25, Jerry as well, who was out playing a live gig, and from the mobile radio checking in. So we've got SWL 25, and we will proxy in SWL 26, and also SWL 74 on the Old Tube Radio Network. And it is really quiet right now. I do not hear anything in the noise level that would make me think that we have any E-skip conditions. Of course, I haven't listened on the on the 10-meter band of the beacons, and there's a lot of VHF contesters out there tonight. Sometimes I really think if there's a lot of transmissions going on, it sort of stirs up the atmosphere a little bit. So maybe we'll get our ham radio friends to get that meteor scatter running, and we'll get some conditions here on 11 meters. But in the meantime, we've got a good half hour left for your Tube Radio check-ins on the Old Tube Radio Network. One, two, lost my audio again. I got a bad switch on one of the mic preamps up there. Just opened up the RF gain a little bit. The noise floor has gone down quite a bit, so bring the RF gain up.
Well, let's see. I think this one is warmed up enough, and the little winking and blinking eyes telling me something's going out. So, SWL number 7.
Okay, I think I know what radio this might be. When you first came down, I think that is a loud radio, and then you said winking and blinking eye, and I have a feeling, that it's not the Gonset or a Heathkit, so that doesn't leave too many left.
No, it does not. This one is the Robin T123, no B.
Okay, and I've got a great picture of that, courtesy of SWL 135, Mr. Cliff, who is a fan like yourself of the Magic Eye tubes, and he refuses, or he will not allow himself to photograph a Magic Eye tube radio without the Magic Eye tube properly functioning. So let me see if I can grab that up, and while we do, you can make your Magic Eye tube wink and blink.
Yes, you can see that one as the bars are coming down, and like with this one, as you speak into it, they kind of slam together there, and this one is definitely slamming. It's also got a D104 attached to it. I see in that picture he's got the Robin microphone, which I would love to find also, but for some reason I keep finding radios without the original mic.
Yeah, I don't know if he lucked into that with the radio or if he was diligent and just said, look, an MT1. I'm going to make sure that that is connected to my Robin somehow. But that is the Robin, I believe it's called the M Mic Tango number 1, which would be a Robin microphone. And whatever you're doing, yours sounds good. It's a nice match. The Robins have pretty decent audio. So I would imagine, unless you're running a Dixie Cup and a kite string, you're going to have good audio.
Yeah, there's something about the Robins. They seem to do quite well. I don't think I've heard a bad-sounding Robin yet.
Certainly not on our favorite old tube radio network. That radio will run 12-volt DC, and I believe in prior episodes we've had some check-ins, some mobile check-ins from the Robin radios. And as the weather is getting nice, we might have a few mobile check-ins here during the summer. It's always fun to do here on the old tube radio network. 11 tubes, 2 transistors thrown in for good measure on the 123, and back to you for a transmission sounding good for radio number 9.
Thank you very much, and this one is from the collection of Bill Two-Niner. It was his. Maybe that's the reason why he's so loud, because all of his radios were really loud.
KRA 2479 radio check here in Fresno, California.
Yeah, sounding good. And let's see. While we're here at the old tube radio network, we'll give the station in Fresno a radio check. You are, what do we say, 9 pounds good modulation at Chestnut and Herndon.
I'm at Chestnut and Belmont.
Well, there you go. And sounding good here on Channel 11. Your radio, let's see if we can grab a tube radio here, Ed. Your radio wouldn't happen to have vacuum tubes in it, would it? Okay, well, if it's a Red Monkey radio, it's very, very possible it could have tubes in it, but I'm going to say that it probably doesn't. Anyway, you are sounding good. We have a lot of friends over there at Red Monkey Communications who check in with us often, and you can let them know that the radio is working well.
Thank you very much. KRA 2479, headed to Bolton up.
All right, there just might be some DX stuff going on. All right, radio number 9, the 123. We'll go back to you for a transmission if you haven't swapped radios yet. And as they say, thanks for the radio check.
Oops, already took that radio down.
Okay, I figured as much, but I just wanted to make sure. The old tube radio network standing by. And I smell barbecue or something. I have the window open because it's just really, really nice outside. It is not 100 degrees. The wind is blowing through. You can see a little bit of flora and fauna in the background going on. And someone or something, I guess that's a barbecue. I hope, I must check on Boza. It doesn't smell like burning tires or anything like that just yet. And I do not hear the Fresno Fire Department coming by, so there are people out enjoying. Although it's a little breezy. You would think for the second week of June, it might be a little less blustery outside. But enjoy it while you can. We are looking for Radio 10 here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Mr. You are tuned into the Old Tube Radio Network, looking for radio number 10. They're throwing stuff at me now. I think I got a baby June bug here. This is what we get here in the Central Valley, called a June bug. They show up around June, and they're very stupid. They fly into your face. They're very harmless. They like light. And they scare the heck out of kids. Although, unless, if you're not suspecting, although we used to collect them in jars and things, but the good old, you know it's summer. You know it's summer when the June bugs start flying around. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. And I guess I missed John, KB6GFD. All right, he'll be around. Sound like he made it back to the old asbestos mines or something, but man, I hope he can get out of there. Yeah, probably a lot of growing things that weren't there before. Well, that's good. I said, I hope we can get back down without a problem. All right, back to the headphone amps, KB6GFD. And then the jingle singer said,
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic
Old Tube Radio.
for you.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, please.
I think, yeah, I'm in between rounds right now. Final fight of the night. Anyway, SWL 37 here. We're checking in my G PowerMate Gym Marine Products 23 channel that glows in the dark, the pretty blue one, and yes, and running an amplified D104 lollipop.
All right, we are in the double digits. We'll make it Radio 10. We'll put up a shot of that very radio, the G PowerMate, looking good and sounding good over.
Okay, thank you, and I'll be back. I'll try to get back with another one here. It's going back into another round here. I'll be back.
All right, thanks for heading into the Radio Shack, giving us from the Gem Marine Products, the G PowerMate, doing a good job, glowing in the dark. Thanks, Chris. And a question from TC: what antenna is being used for net control? Good question. Typically, I'm using an IMAX 2000, but I experienced some bad coax. A bad coax run up to the antenna, which is a little bit difficult to get to. So I have switched to my alternate antenna, which is the M400, or it's the clone of the Starduster. It is not an official, original, like 1980s Starduster. It is the M400 knockoff version that came out a little bit later. And you can tell the difference on the original, and if you're watching the video, the original Starduster, the angle of your other elements are more, let's see, is it obtuse? Anyway, the newer one's a little bit wider. But that's what that is. It is about 10 feet lower than the IMAX. So I guess the question would be, which do you like better? It's hard to say. I think the noise is a little bit less on the Starduster, but that could be because it's lower. Interestingly enough, even though it's about 60 feet difference away from the other antenna, it being lower, it has some directional properties that work well to stations on the south, but not stations on the north. I don't run excessive amounts of power, 4 watts, 5 watts, whatever, so both antennas work quite well. The IMAX, of course, works really well on 10 meters and 12 meters and 15 meters through a tuner. The Starduster, not as well, which I think, what it was, the IMAX, the 0.64 wave, the Starduster, I think is basically a quarter wave, because you've got your 9 feet up and your 9 feet down. But the short answer to this very to end this very long answer is the antenna I'm using now is a Starduster, but not the one of the original ones, a later knockoff of the M400. Over. Would I like to try something different? Yeah, I think in the future, when I get things together a little bit better and get some altitude, we might try some non-fiberglass antennas, sort of like a Mako. I've been reading about the V5A. A lot of people like those. So hopefully within the year, might be trying something like that, and we'll do a comparison that way and get it up in the air a little bit. And the coax connection, that is a little bit difficult. It is actually on the bottom of the antenna. So if this is your antenna with the radials hanging down, the coax runs through the bottom, meaning that you're now having to set the mount on your mast. So you have to run the coax up through your mast, and then so it's a little bit difficult. I don't have it on a large. It's like on a 15-foot mast. So the coax has to actually run down through the mast, which also means whatever your mount is, you can't have that bottom of the mast right on your roof or your mount, because then your coax won't slip out the bottom without getting pinched. So it has to be up an inch or so you can loop that coax out of the bottom. I actually have had that antenna now for about at least 10 years. And the one issue, and that probably could be solved by protecting it better, they have plastic clips that hold the spacers on the bottom radiators. And one of those has cracked, and one of the little spacers is flapping in the breeze. So if you get something like that, you might find a way to protect or tape or whatever the plastic elements that hold the screw, the plastic keepers that hold, with the screws that hold the little spacing elements off the bottom. So keep that in mind. After 10 years, and we get a lot of sun, not real cold weather, but it's out in the elements, so might keep that in mind. But it works. It works well. The other item to keep in mind is, because you have the lower, your radials aren't horizontal, they're drooping quite a bit. So if you're mounting it above something, say you've got another little beam or something underneath it, these elements are going to be getting in the way. So you need a good 7 to 8 feet above the antenna mount, or above the antenna, if you've got something below it. So keep that in mind. If you're doing a solo mount, it doesn't really make any difference. Unless you have guy wires at the top too. You've got to be careful of the guy wires too. So it's a little tricky sometimes. And the breaking station, just answering a question there to one of our SWLs, TC, watching the video. Hello, breaking station on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Number 20 on the R68, T68 Browning Golden Beagle from Browning Laboratory. The custom light with the Browning medallion on the back. This will be the only one tonight. Proxy me in and 29 in for next week. I've been kind of working on a radio that decided it didn't want to work, and it took me all night to figure out what it was, and in 2 weeks it'll be back on the air, because I'll be working next week. Okay, take care. Catch you guys next week.
Okay, and yeah, if SWL20 is going to be around, I know we will be getting a check-in from the R68, T68. We have a brochure of the R68, T68, and we'll pop that up on the picture if anyone is kind of interested in seeing what that's like. But very similar to, the Mark II, this is the Mark I, if you will. Sounds good. We will get you proxied in for next week, and it sounds like you may have solved your radio dilemma, but sometimes it just takes a lot out of you to do that.
Yeah, Roger. I should see you next week and then 2 weeks. Yeah, I was going to have a radio that I got from storage, put it out of, and had it all checked out, and it smoked. Now, why did it smoke? Well, dropping resistor 10-watt guy decided it was going to smoke because there was a short. It took me all night to try to figure out the short because there's no schematic to this puppy. Although there's a radio that's similar that I do have a schematic, so I searched it out and I figured it out. I gotta get the parts, and in 2 weeks we'll be on the air. Anyway, gotta go. Catch you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
All right, are you able to divulge the name of this radio before you go?
What's that?
I said, are you able to divulge to us the name of this radio before you go?
Yeah, it's the Buddy TX11 RC11. The receiver went out, and big dropping resistor in the main power supply just completely blew its smoke. Tried to trace out the short, and oh, thank goodness it wasn't much the audio transformer. If the cap off that electrolytic that just plain shorted the ground and just blew the resistor. Anyway, gotta go. Been called into the house, so we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Hello. Yeah, no, I'm checking mine out. There we go. Boy, I've got a bad mic processor. I'm going to have to pull it, like Harvey does. I'm going to have to pull the thing apart and get some contact cleaners. It's in the main switch and the processing switch. It just goes bad. And I'm listening to the sound card through the headphones here, so I can tell. I can tell when I'm messing up. All right, thanks, Harvey. Let you go. Thanks for the items. And yeah, that's the thing. Some of these 40 and 50-year-old radios, one of the first things you do, I guess, is look at the caps and change those out if you can. And then, like you said, resistors. And hopefully, it sounds like it didn't take out a lot of stuff. And he was worried about transformers. Transformers are sometimes unobtainium on these older radios. You can find capacitors, resistors, things like that, tubes. But boy, if you lose a transformer that's specific to the radio, then you're looking at getting another radio for parts. Radio 11 was our Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68, and thanks for that.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
Thank you very much there, Dennis. I didn't see which my fight there, but I seen who won. So anyway, I want to check in. It's not a general. This is my Citizens Little Phone helicopter model CD3A. 8-channel, I think it's 8 channels, yeah. Transceiver with the original handheld carbon type microphone. Over.
And it looks good. I'm trying to see if we got a picture of the CB3A, another great picture from SWL 135 and his, we call it the OTR calendar collection, even though there is no OTR calendar. And yes, I can tell when you're on the carbon microphone because you do have to stay close.
Yeah, well, I try to, I try to, if I was smaller, I would get inside this puppy, but it's smaller than me.
Yeah, well, you might be able to do, honey, I shrunk the CB operator to get into the radio. From Helicrafters, we're getting a good selection tonight. This is another early 1962, 1963 radio. Totally stock. He's running it with the original microphone. These things just driving down the street. Here on the Old Tube Radio Network, 50 years later, it's Radio 12. Give us another transmission.
I was just thinking, though, if I got inside the microphone, I wouldn't be able to key it up. So I'd have to have the wife come in here and key it up and make sure I'm not on the side where it keys down because I get crushed by the key up.
Yeah, maybe you could make us a video. We could play it back as you're inside the component parts. But as Harvey was saying, something might smoke it. It could be dangerous in there. They do it all. Helicrafters did it all with only 7 tubes, believe it or not. 1963. You might find these at your local electronics radio store, similar to the RCA Mark 7. And it can go with the proper cabling in the back at 12-volt DC as well. Give us another transmission. Sounding good.
Okay, thank you. Well, my beeper's going off. I got to turn my water off outside, too. So I'm multi-purpose tonight. Watching the fight, checking in radios, water in the yard. And, yes, I'm busy tonight. But thank you, Dennis, for being there. And I will be listening after I turn off the water. I'll be back.
Okay, yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock. The time is rolling by fast tonight. Thanks for Radio 12. You're like me, a lot of multitasking, except on Saturday nights when I must stay in the Old Tube Radio air chair for 2+ hours. It is very unusual for me to just sit anywhere for 2 hours, but I enjoy all the radio check-ins, so I'm glad I get a chance to do it. A note that if you're looking for a schematic on the Helicrafters CB3A little phone, it appears that there is one available at oldtuberadio.com. We are looking for Radio 13 before we sign out of here tonight.
Break OTR.
The break for OTR, go ahead, please.
Well, Dennis, I was able to get at least one more in here. Yeah, I don't think I have time to get the other one warmed up and make it quick enough, though. But anyway, I would like to check in my Chris 23 Plus, a CB transceiver. It, like you said, 23 channel tuber that goes in the dark. And this in here is with the original handheld stock microphone. Over.
Okay, we're getting a lot of radios tonight with the originally supplied microphones, and they're all doing a nice job, which sort of reminds us that sometimes it's not necessary to overdrive your radio to get a good sound. Radio 13, Chris at the microphone of his Chris 23 Plus. Give us another transmission.
Okay, Dennis. Well, you know, I did get what? 1, 2, 3. I got 4 of them in. I don't know if I have time to do the other one. What do you think? Well, we still got, what, 5 minutes?
We still got about 3 minutes, so I would take your time. Do not trip over the coax or the dog, or like I would do, or Bozo Control would do, is pull a radio off the table as you're trying to put something on the coax. And we should have plenty of time. In fact, the jingle singers are pointing to me saying that we've been having so much fun checking in radios that I've sort of neglected to go over to the other studio, which I will do now with your permission. As he's getting his other radio out. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
Getting a little more static. It's getting really windy outside. I can see that the wind is blowing the blinds behind me off the out of kilter. Can't even see outside anymore. So we'll have to see. Hopefully it will not blow my antenna away before we sign out of here. Let me check for any other comments that I might want to see if I can answer before we sign out for the evening here at Old Tube Radio Network.
I got one. I got a question.
This is the question frequency. Go ahead.
Can I check this radio in?
You can check in your radio. That will help me answer one of the questions from TC, who is watching our, I believe he's watching the video and asking if all the people checking in locals from Fresno. It is the Fresno and surrounding area of about 40 miles or so. Fresno is in the valley, and we are surrounded by hills, foothills on both sides. So some of the stations checking in are maybe 35 or 40 miles away, have a view down into the valley. We had Skip some conditions at the beginning of the net that you can hear on the archives, but no E-Skip tonight. Or not often, but sometimes we can get DX check-ins if we get some, of course, late-night E-Skip conditions, which happen during the summer months, but, of course, we're sort of in the doldrums of cycle 24-25, which don't affect the late-night stuff a lot, but you never know. We take any and all check-ins, and that's the fun. As you know, that's the fun of any two-way radio, whether it's CB or amateur, that anything can happen at any time, like Radio 14. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Dennis. SWL 37, checking in Radio 14. This is my Courier Royale, a 23-channel tube that glows in the dark, with all the blinking lights and all the mysterious knobs on the front and the hidden ones in the back. And this here, we are running this here with the amplified D104 Lollipop microphone. Over.
Okay, we finally get a radio with, we've got a couple of them, but one that has a true amplified microphone that's working quite well. Had I been paying attention, I would have known that the Courier Royale would be the next radio up, and I would have it online already. But let me swap the picture over for those who may not be familiar with the Courier. Maybe you are. Not the best picture of a Courier, but that's what I got here. They're top-of-the-line radio, I think, for that year, or for those years, with just about every option you can imagine. Back to you.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to get another picture of it somehow or another.
Well, I don't know. We're going to have to send the Old Tube Radio camera crew and Bozo Control over there and get a picture of that one.
Well, yeah, I could take it and put it on top of the blue one so you get a good picture of it with the D104.
Yeah. Well, we want it all by itself. You know, it might get jealous if it has to share with another radio.
Well, I could take it off and sit it over here on the table then.
That would work. All right, Radio 14 at 10:03. So we did pretty good tonight. We made it into double-digit radios. We're listening to, and you're looking at the Courier Royale that has in there somewhere the Collins 6 kilohertz mechanical filter, which doesn't do much for the transmit side, but makes that receiver quite nice. 11 tubes, and believe it or not, there's a service manual at oldtuberadio.com. Back to you.
Hey, Dennis, I think I've even got one of those service manuals right down here on the bottom shelf.
Is that where you keep all the service manuals?
Yes, I've got one for that radio, got one for that radio. I think I got one for that radio. I think I may have one for that radio. I know I got one for that radio, but I'm not sure about that radio.
All right, well, you can keep them in service, perhaps. All right, thanks for, it sounds like you got a lot of things going on and a lot of things done tonight. And that is good. And in addition to your Old Tube Radio Network duties, thanks for the Courier Royale. And I think the Jingle Singer's got one more little item to do before we head out of here tonight.
Oh, boy. How about two more things to do before we call it quits?
Oops. If I can get the foot switch to work, we might be able to. There's certainly plenty of space on the Tube Radio list. Over.
Oh, boy, I'm sorry. Well, first and foremost, how about late check-in from the radio lounge at WL47?
Okay. I am trying to think. I did not get you before. Oh, that's right. I did not get you before because I think I made some barbecue comment, and I figured, well, maybe that's indeed what is happening. So, yeah, let me get the X in the square. And somehow... I've lost my control page. There we go. Why is it way over there? Let me get you officially checked in on the SWL side. Over.
Yeah, okay. Well, as always, your clairvoyance is spot on. Yes, at about 8 o'clock, I had just gotten home and ran out to the radio barbecue. There's got to be a more melodic name for that, but I got to say, it was barbecuing about 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, and my nonchalant attempt to see if anyone was on any of the 40 channels on my TRC 217 that actually got me hooked on that on the show. In other words, I was barbecuing and I just started flipping the dial on that the 217, and lo and behold, look what that started. But anyways, this is not the TRC 217. This is a Browning R27S23. What am I, 15 or 16 here?
You are Radio 15 on the Browning, the original Eagle, I guess I will say, TRC. So you got me doing it down. The R27 S23. I think I can find, rather than an ad, I'll find a picture. And I don't want to mislead our SWLs. This one is going to show the full complement that includes the business band amplifier, which I want to state that you do not have and are not running. But I wanted to get the radio in there. So back to you.
The business band amp. That sounds rather tantalizing. But now, unfortunately, I guess I do play by the rules. I don't have an amp, and maybe with this unamplified original banana mic, maybe everyone can tell. I guess I am moving the modulation lamp or making it activate. This is the largest radio I do have in my collection. I haven't used it. Well, I guess I did maybe last week, maybe it was the week before last, but it had been off the air because I took the coax out of the back of this one and hooked it up to the Kenwood 2000, so do stuff on 10 meters, and was just too lazy to hook it back up. But anyways, Rob took nosedive, and this one kind of jumped back up, and there it is. This one, after not having used it for such a long time, I do have to say, even after all this time, the on-the-air lamp
is still worth the money, worth the price of admission. On the transmitter, obviously, I'm assuming some folks are looking at a picture of this online right now. It's a two-piece radio. You got a piece for the transmitter. You got a piece for the receiver. On the transmitter, it's got just this awesome on-the-air lamp that lights up. It's pretty big. I don't know the measurement, but it's pretty cool. And someone, I don't know who it was, but someone took the time when they're putting the actual words in that lamp on the air. They took the time to get this kind of each word kind of slopes downward towards the right. In other words, I don't know, it's got more bite or pizzazz. It's not just some cheap Word document that someone built the screen onto a radio, but it looks cool. Hopefully it's sounding okay. Unamplified mics and myself don't necessarily go hand in hand. I don't like screaming into a microphone, but hopefully it's doing a semi-decent job.
Sounding good here for Radio 15. For those on the video, the transmitter is on the left at the top. The radios are stacked. That we're showing them the receiver on the bottom, and that's not the greatest picture, but that's the on-the-air light. It's just solid red on the picture because it's overexposed or washed out a little bit. But I think we got a good description from Mike there. These radios were a big seller for Browning, 1964, 1965, 1966, sort of prior to the one that Harvey checked in when they started the Golden Eagle series. The Eagle series, R27 is the receiver, S, the sending unit, the S23, the transmitter, and there was a Series 1 and a Series 2. I think the Series 2 is what you were talking about with the lighted on-the-air indicator, which you like so much, so it's a good you have that. Audio sounds good. Of course, you can always check it out in the archives, and we're always glad for that for the TRC 217, because then that means you are a true SWL.
Well, yeah, I almost took that out to barbecue, but I was panicked trying to get the late dinner going there. But anyway, thanks for the opportunity to allow me to check this in. I think the only comment, and I know I've talked about this once or twice before, but I think last weekend I had all the lights, if not all the lights, most of the lights turned on the radio lounge here. And it's kind of cool, and I know this is a weird comment to make, but it's kind of cool when you turn all the lights off in the room, where your tube radio is, and, the lights, or the tube inside the radio is, shining out through the convection cooling flasks or dots or whatever. Sometimes they project interesting patterns on the wall, and on the top, actually not on the top, on the back of this guy, it's kind of like a honeycomb pattern. So turn all the lights off the lounge here. It's kind of cool, the radio shines out the back and puts all sorts of some little decorations on the back wall or whatever back the radio. So that was kind of cool. On that, I think I'm going to send it back to you. I want to compliment this mic because it's never failed on me, unlike my other D104, but that's a topic for maybe a couple of weekends from now. So anyways, thanks for letting me check it in. Everyone sounds great, and on that, have a great week.
All right, well, I'm glad you got in a radio, and we got room on the list, and going a little bit over time, but that's okay. Sounds good, and as you know, you can hear it on the archives. That's a Mike SWL 47. Just a reminder, you don't have to have an SWL number to check in, or you don't have to have been checked in before. I've been actually doing this for 34 years, believe it or not, running the net. Just last couple of years, we've been doing the video and online, but we've actually been showing up here at Channel 11 Saturday nights, whoever, whenever, whatever, for 34 years. And this is a great radio night. And you don't even have to have a tube radio. That's why we have the shortwave listeners. You can be on your walkie-talkie like Mike was out at the barbecue and listening in. So we just enjoy like the good old days, right? When you could get on the radio and chat and not be bothered with paying an end of the month bill, and have somebody say, "Where we're you need to buy more megabits. Just put on the tube radio and key it down and have some fun." That's the way to do it. Thanks, Mike. Let me ask for, the jingle singers. I'm sorry. They're tapping on the glass in the other studio. Let me get the jingle singers to do their thing before we sign out of here.
You're tuned to
OTR.
your dial reads
Channel 11,
right here in.
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
As modern as you can on your old tube radio. Are there any last-minute check-ins before we sign out of here? And no skip. I heard that noise floor come up the last 10 minutes. I was thinking maybe we'll have a little e-skip tonight. I know TC was dialing in. You never know. We've had Colorado. We've had Arizona. We've had Washington, Alaska come in on the e-skip, so you just don't know. Let me do the totals here, counting and amounting.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
Got to have the fanfare. Ow, that's kind of loud. The totals on shortwave listener check-ins tonight. We did pretty good for a almost summer kind of evening where people are out doing things that don't involve the radio. We had 10 check-ins on page 1, 17 on page 2, 13 on page 3, and 17 on page 4 for a total of 57. I don't think we added anyone new. We are on week 2 of the 8-week roster if you're playing the home game, such that it is. Radios tonight, we got 15. I got to get out of here before the wind blows the shack away. And I'm supposed to tell you, if I was a good net controller, I would tell you the most heard manufacturer. And I've been having so much fun talking to our radio operators that I have neglected to do that. So let me see what that might be. I believe it's going to be the Brownings at 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the Brownings tonight with 4 radios couldn't be overcome by anybody else. We like them all, but I always like to note who is the most heard manufacturer. Started off with the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A from Chris. Radio number 2 was Paul from his collection, bringing out the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. He has about every flavor of radio, I think, it's somewhere in his radio archive. Radio number 3 tonight, Mr. Ed on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, demonstrating the fact that made the Browning so famous, the fact that you could go in and change the ping to suit your mood or to suit the channel you were on or whatever, make it long, short, non-existent. Radio number 4, Paul Falcon on his General Radio Telephone VS6, bringing in the Vibration Service series tonight, which was their mobile-style radios, a little bit less large, smaller than their master control radios, but as Paul was saying, still quite heavy. So you got to have a nice mount to your your metal dashboard back in the day. Radio number 5 was our one and only tram tonight, the TR-27E. Thanks, Ed, for that. We had a couple of Robins. The Robin T240D from Alabama Boy, the 40-channel version. Radio 7 was SWL7 on the only E.F. Johnson tonight, the Messenger 223. Is it getting dark in here? Did I lose some lights? It looks like it's getting darker, but that's okay. We're just about ready to sign out. Radio 8, Paul on his General Radio Telephone, the Vibration Service 4, the VS4. Radio number 9 was the Robin T123 with the winking, blinking Magic Eye. All you RE 613, your Magic Eye fans, we did get a Magic Eye radio in tonight. The Gem Marine Products G Power Mate from Chris. Thanks for Radio 10. Radio 11, Harvey on the west side with his Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. And he is working on some other radios for us here in the upcoming weeks. The Hallicrafters CB3A. I got to like the Hallicrafters. I've got a couple of them, a couple of Hallicrafters products. They're not necessarily transmitting radios, but some SWL radios here in the shack. So thanks for that, Chris, for Radio 12. The Chris 23 Plus, Chris on his Radio 13 tonight, our Radio 13, his Radio 4, his Radio 5, the Courier Royale. And as you just heard, Mike sneaking in with the Browning R27 S23 running the banana-style microphone. Everybody sounding good, and the way we like it here, having fun on a Saturday evening in Central California with the Old Tube Radio Network. Available on the live stream when you see the glowing 6L6 at oldtuberadio.net. Information at oldtuberadio.com anytime. And we'll keep the video up for a while. There is archives available for everything that we've done, at least so far on the streaming end. Probably goes back to 2011. You can find that at oldtuberadio.net. Click on the archive button and look for the date and items that you want. Oh, I see what happened. I lost my light over here on the other device that's running off a battery. That tells me the battery is not functioning. So that's why I was getting a little bit darker. 73, everybody. We will catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks to Frodex at searchlawrence.com for technical assistance, keeping the Nixie tubes glowing. And thanks to all of you out there listening in and keeping us going with your tube radio operations and collections. I know sometimes it's hard to find space for everything. It's expensive. It can be expensive. Hopefully not. You can still find $10 radios. If you do, this is the place to check them in if you can get on at 27085. Good night, everybody, and we will catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Good night. Good night.
As always, a great night, Dennis. Good night.
Yeah, I forgot to plug in the auxiliary power supply on the computer, so it provides another lighting source. And now I see why it's so dark in here. I'm going to have to go charge the battery. Good night, everybody. Catch you later on the YouTube video 73.